Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan Redbird, and I'm a recovering person from just about everything. Great Spirit, thank you for being with us today in our group. Let me smudge not only my room, but all of us. Let our hearts be open so we can hear any messages you may have for us today in this group. Amen. Go ahead, Rodney. You can hit that song for me.
All righty.
Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh,
All yours, Susan.
Thank you, Rodney. I chose that song today because name of that song is honoring our ancestors. And, you know, we've come so far. I mean, I think back to my mother, grandmother, and there's, life was just really hard. And for men too, my grandfather, my father, work all the time, you know, hard work all the time. Life was a lot tougher, and we have much to be grateful for. So I think as we honor their setbacks, their joy, their what they've been through in their life. It helps us, it gives me courage, and I think all of us, to face whatever may be ahead in my life. And whatever I face in my life, I can pass on and share with others, whether it's the next generation or the people, men and women, sitting right beside me. So that's why I chose that song. My name is Susan Redbird, and I'll give you a little bit of history about me. So I am a survivor. I was born into traditional alcoholism. My mother was an alcoholic. My mother's side of the family suffered from alcoholism in every form that you can imagine, and all the baggage that goes with it. My father divorced my mother when I was like 2 or 3. I have one older brother, and he got custody of us. And so we went and lived with him. And that was around 1959, I think. Kind of unheard of back then, but life was complicated. Life was complicated. He married the babysitter, and my brother and I, we ended up in group homes and foster homes and stuff like that. But I'm still here today, you know. I'm 66 years old, and I'm still working at it, you know. I'm still trying. I haven't thrown in the towel, you know, and I'm still but you know, in foster home, we weren't beaten or anything. I suffer from depression and complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's from violence in childhood, and all of the abuses that come with an active alcoholic home, an active codependent home. And there are many things that I just kept plugging along. The only thing I had going for me was that I was a striver. I would work and work and work and work and work. And I had the mindset that as long as you could work, you could make it. I still kind of believe that today. As long as you have some cash, you can make it. But so I, you know, I really suffered for a lot of years, and growing up in high school and all of that. I didn't drink until I was like 18. I met my mother when I was 18. I had no memory of her, and it was a real shock. I drank with her. She met my brother. My brother was a musician, and you know, it's a long story, but we met her by accident. You know, we weren't looking for her or anything. We could have done well without meeting her, but we were supposed to meet her, and that's what happened. You know, and we did have a relationship with her, but it was very painful because they were all drunks, you know, practicing drunks. But I was nobody to talk, because the minute I picked up a drink, I drank until I was on the floor. So I was alcoholic too, even though I had not drank at all growing up. I should have. I probably would have been a little bit happier from time to time, but I didn't. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. You know, I didn't want to be that. I was a goody two shoes, you know. I want to be a good person. I want to be a decent person. I want to be a saint, you know. I had a big ego to go with it too, you know. So it wasn't until the 70s I really started, you know, what am I going to do with my life? I graduated from high school, you know, had to find a place to live. You know, there was nobody to live with. That's not how it was done back then. I mean, back then you don't live with mom and dad till you're 30 and 40 and, and stuff like that. And I didn't, I didn't really have anybody anyway, but I found a job, I started out and, working on an assembly line. Thought it was man, I've arrived, I got a good job. I got health insurance. I got vacation time. I got, I made it, I'm making it. I'm making it. Everybody thought I wouldn't, they thought I would have bit the dust a long time ago, but I'm making it. And, but it was boring. It was a boring job. And, I was, kind of low on gratitude back then, but so you won't believe this. I really wanted to be a nurse, but I had no money to go to college. So I enlisted in the Army to be a nurse. And a lot of people said, "Oh, you'll never make it." Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I made it. I made it. I graduated from basic training. I had shin splints so bad I could barely walk through graduation. I'm busy scratching my head. You're nuts. That's part of what your problem is. But I got training there, and I did it. I did it. I wouldn't do it again. I don't recommend it. Go to college. Go to tech school. I mean, but whatever you want to do, something, make a choice of some kind, live it and make the most of it, so I did. And then when I got out, I just, there was licensing problems, so I had to go back to nursing school and get an approved license by the NLN and all that. So I did that. I worked as a nurse for many years. I started reading self-help books when I was young. My first book was by Norman Vincent Peale, and you can if you think you can, and it was all about your thinking and stuff like that. And I have been on this journey for a long time, since the late 70s, and I'm 66 years old. But here I am today in this beautiful group, and we are doing this amazing work that I started in July. And I have had years of professional counseling, years of group therapy. I have done all kinds of different things, the Courage to Heal, DBT, you name it, a group for this, a group for that, a group for feelers and refeelers, and all kinds of memory stuff. I've done a lot of stuff. I've done everything that was recommended to me to the best of my ability, and I've been, it's like, and that was, well, you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself first. You got to prepare for the life that you want and the man that you want. And when you love yourself, nobody teaches you how to love yourself. There's no recommendations in the book. It just says to love yourself. It doesn't tell you how when you got nothing to work with. That's part of the problem. Okay, so in 6 months, we come here, I get here. I'm in my command center. My life is mine. My life is mine. My body, mind, and spirit are connected. And it's mine. I'm not out there. I'm not out there in your head or in your life. I care about you in your life, but I'm not, I can walk beside you, but I'm not in your shoes, And I always wanted to help people. But, and I did help many people. I worked in orthopedics and cardiology. So that was my work. But I mean, and I've been to different self-help groups, AA, Al-Anon, CODA, adult children of alcoholics, you know, freaky codependence, and, you know, just all kinds of stuff. All the 12-step programs, all kinds of religious programs. I've been born again, gone again. I don't know how many times, you know, and I just couldn't get it. And you got to love yourself. And, you know, and so where do you go from there? I love me, you know, and it's like, that isn't it either. You know, there's no instruction. So here is where I got the instruction. And it begins, I can love you and love myself independent of you. And when I was young, I started out very sick because I had no love in my life and I had no relationships. I had like imaginary relationships in my head, imaginary conversations with other people, that they were acquaintances. I mean, they were people that I knew. They were real. They weren't imaginary. So I think that gave me a pass in the shrink center. You know, they were real people. Had they not been, I probably would have ended up somewhere else. But I always had conscious contact with other people, institutions, the law. These are the laws. You know, you have to obey the laws. You have to do this. You have to, you know, you have to look okay. Most of all, you have to look okay, and do your best to be okay, you know. And I never wanted to get in any trouble of any kind, you know. I didn't want to be beaten for anything. I didn't, you know, I had enough trauma in my life in that category. And I always watched where I hung out, and I sobered up. I mean, I've been sober 30 years now, you know. But if I drank, I would drink at home, you know. I was never one to put myself at risk for repeated abusive situations that, you know, would take place. But so we, you know, we come to, geez, Wynn had it going on. When I'm in my person, you know, and I can love myself independent of you. It's not, I've learned so much. I can help others and not become enmeshed. And that's probably not the right word, but keeping the energy separate. You know, the enmeshment is leads me, and I have done this in the past, trying to help people, doing things for them, what they should, when they're things that they should be doing for themselves. Helping people that don't want help. Bingo. That should have been a red flag right there, you know. It's not that they were unhelpable and they needed the help, but they didn't want it. The key element was they didn't want it. Oh, you got to be helped. Oh, you got, you know, no, nobody has to do anything. It's a free country. Everybody has a, you know, you don't have to have anything that I think would be good for you or this or that, you know. I need to worry about what's good for me. And today, what's good for me is I don't help people that don't want help anymore. You know, get out of my boat. Quit grabbing on my boat and trying to sink me. I'm just in a canoe going down the river here. If somebody wants some help, hop in, you know, but don't just keep faking it. And I've wasted a lot of energy doing that. Today, I take care of myself first. And whatever is left, well, I take that and use it to help others where I can. But I don't let anybody suck the life out of me anymore. You know, and That was, a big thing. And I'm married, and sometimes I get sensitive. My husband will say something crappy, and the old me would have cried and all this other stuff. And it's like, that's his truth. That's what he believes. It's separate from me. It's not, I don't have to take it on. I don't have to take it on and cry over it. And that is self-love. I don't have to take on other people's opinions, thoughts, beliefs. And that has been very helpful to me, very helpful to me. Standing in my own body, mind, and spirit, and staying in there. I mean, you can call it staying in your own lane, but I wasn't the smartest crayon in the box, so I needed it spelled out a little bit better. Stay in your own mind, your own heart, your own soul, your own body. I mean, if you meet somebody on the beaten path that, you can help, fine. And we've covered so much in 6 months. It has tied together a lifetime of work that I have been working on to get well. My post-traumatic stress disorder has improved immensely. And part of that is because of new self-love and the distinction and the separation, standing in my own love, my own power, my own spirit, my own mind, conscious contact with myself, conscious contact with other people. I suffered from that. It began when I was very young. I had conscious contact with other people and not me. In my head, I wasn't talking to myself all the time. They crack on jokes about people talking to themselves and everything. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a good thing. If you're talking to yourself, you're in the right place, If you're in your head all the time talking to other people, having conscious contact with other people and other institutions, you should do it with the institution too. I'm going to tell them, and and it would be like, so, that is gone. That is gone. Okay. That I staying within my own body, mind, and spirit, and conscious contact with myself and a higher power, which I choose to call the Great Spirit. I do. God, they're all good. I mean, it's all good. None of it's bad. It's just language, and we can't let language separate us. Whatever you call yours, even if you got a chair, I don't care. You can still get in the circle. I've met all kinds of people with all kinds of different higher powers and whatever, and everything from trees, to light bulbs, to that kind of stuff. Hey, if it's better than what you're doing, you're ahead of the game. And that's what's great about new self-love. It's not focusing on the religion. I've had a lot of years and a lot of study where you focused on the religion and what was in the book, and this is in the book, and this is how you do it, and this is the definitive word, and this and that, and it isn't, because the journey continues. I mean, our Creator is still speaking to every heart, every person, place, and thing in creation. So now, I've gotten away from the institutionalized, thinking and religionized teaching, and think with my own spirit and my own soul. And, today I talk to myself in a kind way, the way I want to talk to a friend. I make mistakes and I get flaky and forget this. Oh man, today we get these 2 cars parked in the garage, and not in the garage, but out in the yard, and one in the garage. And, man, didn't I take out the truck the other day trying to back out of the parking place? my husband had worked 12 hours yesterday, so I didn't want to tell him when he came home last night because I knew he had a long, hard day, you know. And so I called him. I let him sleep and everything. And so I called him a little while ago because I want to tell him before he sees it, you know. So I called him and told him, I said, I have some bad news to tell you. Then he said, uh-oh, what's that, honey? I said, well, I kissed the truck with the Kia yesterday. And you know what? He wasn't even mad. He wasn't even mad at me. So I was like, see, that's changing too, you know? I mean, but one of the things is gratitude in all things, even if it seems bad in the moment, and it may be bad, but I can practice. I'm grateful that it's not worse, you know, because I never understood the energy thing, you know. I understood it to a degree, but I was like, we are people. We are people. We are not just energy. We are more than that, you know. But I couldn't tell you how we were more than that. You know, we're not just energy. We are a higher form of energy. And, you know, I remember thinking to myself, Susan, you have some days you're barely a plant, let alone a person. So it's, you know, but I understand it better now, and I understand how it changes and how it works. And there's no need to freak out when things seem like they're going downhill or whatever. Because if I, you know, it will change. It will change. The energy will change. And if I'm grateful for the, you know, for the good stuff, what's good, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I was trying to, you know, I had written down so much, but I gotta let, you know, I just don't, I take care of myself today. I've picked up some different hobbies. I played flute most of my life, but I have some breathing issues now, so that's not too good. But I'm healing that inner child. I bought some paint by number, and because I took up sewing again. I'm actually sewing again, and I have been doing that for probably 6 or 7 years. But it's you know, life is good today. I feel good about myself because I know that I'm doing my best. And my best is just as sufficient as anyone else doing their best. And that's what we're all doing. We're all on this journey together. And I don't have to be an overachiever. I was one of these overachievers. Oh my God, I had a job and it was like, you know, I had to study everything about it. I mean, I'd get home from work and I would be looking, you know, looking things up in the encyclopedias and the fundamentals and all this other stuff. I've never seen this. I don't know what this is, you know. No wonder you're single, you know. No wonder you're single. You're boring. All you do is work and care about work and gung ho. And I was gung ho. I was gung ho with my job. I had all my self-esteem wrapped up in that. And my self-worth, oh, that's part of the equation too. I didn't know that. But my self-worth, my self-esteem is kind of like what I do, how I present, what I think. My self-worth is what I think, why I do the things I do, how I do them, how I relate with other people. So they look like they're two separate things, but they aren't. There aren't. And you can't have one without the other. And I think I operated many years while I'm managing my self-esteem, you know, and I'm a do-gooder and all this and that. And I go the extra mile and da 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 da. I'm just a big ego, really. just a warped ego, and everything was survivor mode. Everything was survival mode. So I don't know if I can say anything that helps anybody. You can come to your true self and really have a good life, have a better life. I mean, we've all been alive this long, so we're doing and trying. But this stuff works. It works. And because it's application. How do I apply information that I can use other than just praying about it? The thing is, so many years I learned different things, whether it be religious, behavioral skills. I'm trying to say this politely because we're being recorded, but religious, behavioral skills. You still recording this? Already? Oh, okay. And that was, in the beginning, I didn't really, when you grow up in foster homes and group homes and stuff like that, I didn't even know how to relate to people outside of that. I was institutionalized and didn't even know it. All I did was work. We were laborers on a farm, all I did was work. We went to school. I had no socialization skills, nothing. I didn't know how to do anything, and I had to learn it, And so I was looking at books, and I remember I had this doctor ask me, so what are you doing in church? I mean, what's up with that? And it's like, well, and what are you doing with the God thing? And I told him then, and he laughed at me, and I said, well, it meets some needs for love and self-esteem. And he was like, really? Obviously, he had a different perspective. But I still feel that way today. We have, you can call it religion, a support group, a circle, a group of friends, or whatever that we can all communicate with, learn from, or whatever. And it does give us some self-esteem and love. And it also gives us some self-worth too, because we're not just human doings. We're doing the things, we're focused on why we do the things we do, how we say them, and that's what makes a difference, And I find that being comfortable in my command center, I'm less controlling. And I'm not so fear-based. I don't have the anxiety that I had as to, well, will this work out? Will that work out? What am I going to do? And, so it's a relief. It's just a relief. And I'm so grateful for it. We've learned so much in like 6 months. I think we started last July and it's February. It's been 6 months. And it's just amazing. And the affirmations, affirmations aren't new. Okay. Prayers, affirmations, all this stuff, putting stickies all over the walls and everything. And they were all good. I don't regret any type of counseling, treatment modality, or anything that I have done in the past, that started out in the 70s, because it all led me to be here today, this day and this time. It is not a waste. Anything that you do any day to help yourself and your personal life is never a waste. And there's always better. And when we learn better, we can do better. I suffered from PTSD, and today I don't have the flashbacks and all that stuff, and I'm not triggered because I do get triggered on occasion. I'm not cured, okay? But when I'm in my command post, I'm not giving everything away for nothing, and giving away my power to what other people say, or other people's opinions, or other people's beliefs, or what other people think should be going on. And, everybody better step right up. And, so, I'm not triggered as badly. I don't have the flashbacks. And I can pick and choose which hill I want to die on. And I can say, hey, whatever, do what you want to do, just go about my business. I don't have to get in the cesspool with them. I don't have to, I can disagree and all this and that, but I can just walk away from it. I don't have to get into the contest. And, so my PTSD is 100% better. And, but also it shows me I can't hang out with sick people. I can't hang out with even people that are slightly abusive, I never could. What happened was I was, always attracted to them. There was always an attraction to them. Your people are always complaining and whining about the narcissist, and there's all kinds of, stuff like that all over Facebook and the web. And well, get a good dose of a couple of psychopaths. I mean, you think the narcissists are bad, so there's all kinds of people out there. But when I'm in my command center, they can live and do what they want to do, and I can go on my merry way. Part of it is recognizing it. When we recognize a healthy, authentic love that is mutual for all people, there's a equality to it. And you recognize when you meet somebody that's a smooth operator, whatever you want to call them. There's all kinds of titles for people that are, aren't too healthy. But when you recognize that, you can choose wisely. It has helped me so much. And I know it's helped. I know it's helping others too. It's very hard to describe how it's helping you. It's hard to break it down, but I hope I've covered a few topics. I wrote a bunch of things down. I got pages and pages, but I think that's it. I don't know if anybody wants to ask a question or anything, hey, I'll try to answer it. If I can't, someone else can. So Howard is here. So I'll open it up for questions. What time is it? Oh, it's early. Go ahead, Pam.
I just have a comment. I just love your humor. I have from the day I met you. I love your humor. It just makes me laugh. That brings joy to my heart. I love that about you. Plus, I like how you started this with, I'm in my command center. Oh my gosh, that's such a reminder, that we have control over this thing up here, this mind, this thing, all the thoughts that go round and round and round and round, I'm just very grateful. I really enjoyed you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Love you.
And I'm next, I guess, because I want to say thank you too, because I've sat back since we started the self-love program, and I've watched each and every single one of y'all change. Y'all might not see it, and it is about getting into your command post. And you hit it right on the head with what you were saying. you know, because we have been taught to take other people's emotions on, and they're not ours to take on. I did that for many years too. Like you were saying, you're in your 60s, I'm in my 60s, and that was one of my worst enemies that took me down, was that I held on to everybody else's emotions. And then, you know, once I learned how to get in my command center, I realized, hey, that's not mine to hold on to. Let me give it back to him. You know, but you're correct. We don't come with them. We don't come with a book that you can open up and say, what do I do next? And they're definitely not going to tell you that how to do it in church. But they do give you other guidelines in church. Like, everything is connected. That's the biggest thing to understand, is that there is a tool. It's like putting a piece of puzzle together. Every aspect that's in the world is connected. And when you can connect that whole circle, you're going to have your puzzle put together. And so you're going to keep searching. I think we'll do that until the day we die. But I'm just so proud of you, because I can see how far you've come and how much you've grown. And the biggest thing about doing these classes is to help people learn how to go inside themselves and find their answers, because we have been taught to look for them outside. They're not out there. They're in us. And let me tell you, it's very hard, because you have to go through the parts that you don't like about yourself. And you have to forgive yourself for some of the things you did, because at that point in time, you were ignorant about how to handle the situation. So you did it wrong. You know, forgive yourself, but give yourself a lot of gratitude that you have learned, and that you're on a good path, and that you know that you don't have to hang around abusers, and you don't have to hang around alcoholics anymore, for that self-esteem and self-worth feeling. And like you said, you know, it's a very fine line, because both of those energies, because it is an energy, work together. You know, so you can be giving your self-esteem a lot of kudos when you should be giving it to your self-worth. And that's the part of the tree where you learn how to stand up as a tree in your self-worth, and your self-esteem helps you stand taller, so that you can push your energy out and say, hey, I'm here. And that's what you did today by bringing this lesson. I just love you.
Thank you, Shahawin. I do feel like a tree sometimes. It's not a plant. I'm coming up in life.
Well, yes, and I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but they were really having a hard time. And I said, look, I said, imagine yourself, because this is us. Imagine yourself as a plant or a rose growing, okay? And you're pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's hard, you know? And finally you break through the soil, okay? But you're still pushing and pushing and pushing. Well, guess what comes up before the rose does? The thorns. So you have to go through the thorns, and after you get through all those thorns and everything, guess what? You bloom into this beautiful rose. That's what, you know, that's just a good example of some of the struggles, you know, that we all have to go through, to come into our own, you know, acknowledgement in our command posts that we're okay, and that everything's all right, and that we can handle this. I just love you, Susan. Thank you so much. It was
Thank
so awesome.
I love you too, Shahawin.
And like I said, when we started this 2 weeks ago, and I said somebody was gonna, you know, I'd like everybody in the group to come on and express their gratitude and all of that stuff of what they have learned. You just hit it right on the head. you did it. You have done such a wonderful job, and I can't wait to hear everybody else's. So I know we still have 30 minutes to ask questions or, or talk about anything, but who would like to be the next person? I know Sherry's not here, so she snuck out. Tell her you tell her from me, Rodney, that you tell her I said, so Halloween thinks she didn't come because you didn't want to be the one to have to teach next week.
I'll joke with her and tell her that
Yeah.
she's been selected.
Yes, joke with her and tell her that.
Been selected, that's
But,
official. Okay.
but we know better. So who would like to speak next week about what they've learned in the class and how it's helped, get them centered and
Well, I could do that next week, Margaret. Shahwin, I can do that.
all right. Well, that's wonderful, Leo. I
Okay,
was not expecting that.
All righty. Well, Susan makes me feel like I had a dream, upbringing, because she had it pretty tough. I thought I had it tough. I had nothing. But anyway, we have a new member, Simon, that we need to introduce, don't we?
Well, yes. I'll let
Oh.
you do that if you would like, since you've already started. So
Oh,
yes.
So I'm sorry if I took that away from you.
No, you did not.
Okay. Simon is a friend of mine and a good friend of Shaha Wynn's, and he lives in Nashville, and just a great guy. And gosh, Simon, do you know how to unmute yourself so you can say something?
Yep.
He may not.
Okay.
Yep. Can you hear me?
It's all yours, Simon.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. See, I didn't put you on the spot. Leo did, huh?
That's right. I was looking for it though. I was ready. I was halfway ready. Let's see. Well, I'm a musician. Just about to release an album I've been working on for some years, and I'm involved with men's work. I lead men's retreats and done a lot of staffing at important men's retreats. And let's see what else. I'm a rebirther, breath worker, and I'm working through just as much stuff as everybody else. Your own mountain looks as bigger than anybody else's, no matter what mountain you're looking at. So I'm finding that I'm finding my way through and around, and sometimes up and over the mountain that I'm confronted with. I've made a lot of inroads, and I have a lot of work left to do. And I'm grateful for Shaha Wynn's focus and her ability to bring clarity to these steps of that sound so simple when you read them in a book or when somebody else talks about them or somebody else talks about having gone through them. But every one of those steps has to be not just learned but earned, and so I'm in the process of that now, and very grateful for my friendship with Shaha Wynn, and we've done some pretty wild dancing together so far. Just 1 year ago, up in a very cold section of the country, at a retreat, and just watching what ego expected, to just taken apart one step at a time, and yet everything that spirit wanted to be at this event was there. It just wasn't the way it was expected, and in that way, even more happened because in the confusion of the ego, spirit slipped in, and it was really exciting. And so Shahawin invited me to go to this gathering up in where was it, Quincy, Illinois.
Yeah,
And,
we were at the Bear Nation powwow,
right, that was it.
the Council of the Bears.
The Council of the Bears, and they bared their souls. So um, I'm really grateful to be here at this place and in this time, and it's wonderful to see all of you all, and realize that you're co-seekers on this path. Many blessings to you.
Yes, now Simon, I am really going to put you on the spot now.
Uh-oh.
Can
Thank you,
you
Simon.
yeah, can you tell them a bit about grandmother Aggie? She was one of the 13 grandmothers, and Simon was a very, very good friend to grandmother Aggie. And just tell them a little short story of some of your exciting times that you had with her.
Yeah. Well, I got involved with a group of elders. I was thinking that I needed to explore eldership more. This was probably when I was about 57, and I had been chewing on what eldership might be, and so I got with a group of guys who, at that time it was just men, who were getting together once a year to just, they'd have speakers come in and talk about what eldership was and just talk about it amongst ourselves. And the second group I went to was up in Portland, and the keynote speaker was a woman named Agnes Baker Pilgrim, and they called her Grandma Aggie. And so she was welcomed by almost everybody there, and she opened her mouth and just blessings came out, and she's just blessing the room and blessing the room. This was the first time a woman had been in this group, um, in the elder function, and the guy who introduced her said, well, she does this salmon event every year, and it was like, gotta go. They didn't say anything about it, but something inside me said, gotta go. This was, and the gathering that we were at was probably January or February. So the gathering, her salmon gathering, was in June. Well, as soon as she got done speaking and we took a break, I just went and sat with her. And we, we just got to know each other a little bit. I just wanted to hear whatever came out of her mouth, and she's let's see, she had 9 tattoos on her chin, 3 big ones and 2 little ones on either side of the big ones. And I knew intuitively that this was because she was a speaker, a spirit speaker, really. And she always talked about, we're all together. Every one of us is all together in this big leaky canoe together, and so we've got to learn how to get along and how to keep it afloat. And it's up to all of us to learn how. So I loved that event, and I went that following June, to her salmon event, which I think was the 22nd one that she had done. And her tribe, she's from the Takelma tribe and the Siletz group of tribes up in Oregon. And the Fish and Game Commission came to her back, I guess, sometime in the 80s, and said, look, the salmon run's down to almost nothing. And we know that your tribes had something to do with the salmon run. So is there anything you can do? And she said, well, you have a lot of dams in the river. You could take those down. And she went to all the elders that were in her tribe all over the place and pieced together this salmon welcoming ceremony. And that first year she did it, I think it was 82, somewhere around there. There was like 1,500 people. Jane, who's the monkey lady, not Jane Goodwin. Anyway, lots of celebrities were there, and the salmon run went up to like 1 million salmon just that one year. And the fish and game people said, "Oh my gosh, can you keep whatever you're doing? Can you keep doing that?" She said, "Yeah, but you got to take those dams down." And in 20 years, she got 4 major dams taken down, so the salmon were able to run. And so, I mean, when I got there, actually, United had ruined my ability to be there during the ceremony. I got there in the afternoon after the ceremony happened. But I got out my guitar and I went over to her, and she was sitting down, which was rare to see her at those events. She was the movable command post, and she took control of the whole thing. So I played her some songs, and she said when I finished, she said, "You come over and sit down here. You go get him a plate. It's dinner time." And she just welcomed me in. And so she was also the spokeswoman for the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, which was a group of grandmothers that were gotten together by a spiritual women's group up in Northern California. And they just put out, they had some mandate, spiritual mandate, and they put out the word to all the women elders all over the world, tribal elders. Anybody who wants to come, and say at the appointed time. I believe it was 2003 or 4 they did this. They were at the Menla Institute up in near Woodstock in upstate New York, and 13 women came, and one of them was Grandma Rita, who was from a tribe up in Alaska. And these women, none of these women, except for 2 sisters, had met. Some of them knew each other, but they'd never sat together to do anything. And so there's this energy in this big table that they're all sitting at. And Grandma Rita brings out this bundle, and she said, "When I was 5 years old, 60 years ago, my grandmother came to me and she said, 'I'm going to give you 13 prayer bundles, and you keep these sacred, and you'll know what they're for when it's time to use them.'" And she had brought them to that gathering, and there were 13 women in the circle. And she said, "This is the group that my grandmother knew was going to happen." And she handed out the prayer bundles to everybody, and there was not a dry eye in the room. And so they knew that you could see the arc of spirit that happened to bring that about, and to recognize it so long ahead, so long before. And so they elected Aggie to be their speaker. So she became the spokesperson for all 13 grandmothers, and they were from Africa, Nepal, South America, 4 or 5 native tribes in North America, and some had moved here. And every one of them was fascinating, and they would gather generally once a year, and I think they did this for 12 years until they were too old to travel. But she was she at one point there was a decree that went out back by the Pope in the 1300s, and these were aggressive decrees. They called them papal bulls. And one of them said that native people and throughout the world are not people, and unless they're Christian, you can go and you can kill them, you can rape them, you can tear them to pieces, you can steal from them, because they're not people, because they're not Christian. And so she and some of the other grandmothers decided to go ask the Pope if he would rescind those papal bulls, take them back, and recognize that native people are people. And so she and I think 4 or 5 other of the grandmothers went to, they told the Pope they were coming. They sent him a communication. They went to the Vatican, and he was supposed to be chairing a committee, so they knew he was going to be there. And when he found out they were there, he ran away. He would not meet with them. So they went to the center of Vatican Square, and they put up an altar, and they had feathers, and they had candles, and they had drums, and they were chanting and they were dancing, and the the Vatican police came out and they were trying to mess with them. And one of the grandmothers was a lawyer from Santa Fe, and she stopped the Vatican police and was keeping them away from the ceremony ground. And finally, after they'd been trying to get past her, another little man came out in a suit and spoke to the police and basically said, "The Pope knows they're here. Leave them alone. They're okay." So they all went away, and the ceremony was it was a blessing and a ceremony of forgiveness and gratitude that they were doing. And so, in essence, the Pope allowed Native people to do what he would consider, his religion would consider heresy, rather than talk to these powerful women. It was fabulous. And you can see some stills from that on Grandma Aggie's website. And they would go all over the world. There was one time when I was with her at one of the grandmother events, and she said, I said, "Where are you going?" And she said, "Oh, I've got to get hip surgery, but I have to go to Nepal first." I mean, if you know anybody that needs hip surgery, you know that it's hard to just get out of a chair. And she was going to fly to Nepal and be pushed around on a wheelchair where there is no flat surface. It's like this, with needing hip surgery. Oh my gosh. I mean, she just gave it all. She was going to run that jalopy till the wheels fell off. And as she did. So she was a continual source of joy and inspiration to me and to thousands of people all over the world. If you begin to study her, there was so much that she did. I mean, she lived, God knows, 4, 5, 6 lifetimes in her lifetime. She had 3 husbands. She had 6 kids. Spirit came to her when she was around in her 50s and said, "I have work for you to do." And she said, "I'm not worthy," and tried to run away from it. And so she got cancer. She got to sit in the hospital and just think about that. And she resisted it for a while, and then she finally said, she said, "The day I started to heal was the day I would wake up in the morning, and I said to my toes, I see you and I feel you and I love you and thank you." And I said to my feet, "I feel you and I see you and I love you and I thank you." And she did that with her whole body. And she said that was the day she began to heal. And when she got healed, she went and made amends to all of her kids she'd been a difficult parent. She'd worked hard. She'd been a stock car racer. She'd been a boxer. She'd been a musician. She could play guitar, fiddle, and piano. Her father said, "If you learn an instrument, you'll always have friends." And so she learned it. All her brothers and sisters learned how to play an instrument. And she was a barber in a jail. She was a bouncer. She eventually went to college in her 60s or 70s, got a degree in counseling, became a drug and alcohol counselor. I mean, there's just endless interesting stuff with her. She went to the City Fathers, where in Ashland, Oregon, which was near where she lived. She lived in Grants Pass. And she went to the City Fathers and said, "My tribe's been here about 4,000 years. You've been here less than 100, and you don't have anything recognizing us in any place in this town." So they contacted a native carver, and I got to speak to him after he had done all this work. He found a tree that had branches that were going like this. So he cut down the tree and he carved this entire tree. He carved all of her personal and tribal power animals all around the tree, and made the 2 branches into her arms. And this tree was probably, maybe 2 people around if you held out all your arms. And so Ashland City did a ceremony and placed it right outside the college where she graduated. and eventually the tree began to split, and so they had the carver come and repair it, and they put it inside the library so it wouldn't continue to deteriorate. And they had another native artist make a bronze version of that, which is outside where the wooden one was. So she got her connection because they understood how powerful she was in that area, and how important she was to all the tribes. Anytime a baby was born, she'd be called to come and bless it, and she might have to drive 300 miles to do it, but she'd do it. And her daughter Nadine was her assistant and her handler and her manager, and we were both the same age, Nadine and I, so being contemporaries, we got along well, and she's just wonderful, and she's still working, doing her work out in that area, and so I could keep going on and on
Yeah.
about Grandma Aggie, but I'm going to stop. But she's a wonderful presence, and she's still a presence in my life, even though she passed on about 5 years ago.
Thank you so much, Simon. See, we're going to have you one day come on the show, and you can tell some of your adventures, because you've had lots of adventures to talk about. And like with
I've even
Grandmother
learned
Aggie.
one or two of them.
Yeah.
One or two.
We're going to have some more, right?
We are.
Yeah. So when Grandmother Aggie and the 13 grandmothers joined together, and their words spread it about what they were doing, that's how the grandmothers of the world and all the groups that you see on Facebook started after that. And so there's quite a lot of grandmothers, that have joined together to bring about a lot of stuff. But that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to connect and do good things for each other. But before you can do that, what do you need to do? Redbird was saying it. Get in your command post. Understand what your command post is. Mm-hmm. And so having the self-love program, I know I can't remember which one it was, but when I first started, somebody asked me how come I didn't share it on my Shahawin page, on Facebook, that I was having classes and stuff. Because if I had done that, we would have had like 100, 200 people or more in the class. But what I have found out, that small classes are so much better, and you can stay centered so much better. And I knew that we were putting all these lessons on YouTube. So, and I haven't even started sharing them on my page yet, that we're doing them where they can go up there and look at them. But eventually I will. But I like our little group that we have. And Simon, the reason why Simon's here today is because Simon was getting the emails, Rodney, but when I told you to shorten down the emails, Simon's email got deleted, so he's not been getting the email. So if you can put him back on the email list, because I gave him the thing to get on this morning. So does anybody else want to talk to Redbird and like Rodney, do you have something to say? Because Redbird her list was so good today. It was wonderful.
I love Susan. I mean, I think her gift, like Pam pointed out, is her humor.
It is.
Just tickles the soul. You just can't help but laugh and feel joy. And that's really encouraging to me when people go through a rough life, and they can come with humor, and they can laugh at what they've been through. They can laugh at themselves. And And that gives us all, that ability and permission kind of to just enjoy life. Don't let it weigh us down. Don't let it become something that makes us, it makes her better, not bitter. Right. And it's a joy. The circle is a joy. The growth that it feels like it was this rough rock, and you put me in the tumbler. And you knock off all the edges and we come out this beautiful polished stone. And very, very grateful, Shahawan, for you and the circle and everybody in it.
I just love each and every one of you. And Colleen, I see you sitting over there. Colleen and them are at the property, by the way, today. If you're wondering how come they're outside, is they're over there on the 33 acres of land that we had that we're going to build, the healing center for people to come. And hopefully one day all of us on this little thing will be able to come to it and actually meet one another, face to face.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just getting some sun. Am I being heard?
Yes, we can hear you, Colleen.
I'm not. I'm just joining in a little bit here. Yeah, I'm getting in the sun and getting warm. It's not really that cold up here, but in the shade, it's a little bit chilly. And we're going to work on the roof of the pump house today. Well, he is. He does it all. Climb that ladder. So please be generous with your prayers, even though he doesn't need them, for things to go smoothly.
Yes, we will keep him in prayer.
Thank you.
When Rodney says the closing prayer, we'll ask him to add a prayer for Leo. And I got a text from Elizabeth, and she asked me to let each and every one of y'all know that for my time at 4:40 is when they're going to put her dog down. So her time it's 2:40. So I don't know, because we're all living in different time zones. Let's just say during from 2 o'clock until like 5 o'clock, if y'all can remember to just send up prayers and comfort to her. She would very much appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good.
And Redbird, I hope that you'll do another class for us, because you did so good, and there's so many topics you could talk about. I mean, you could talk about what it was like to be in the foster care system. See, I was in the foster care system too, so I know a little bit about it. But when you're in the foster care system, a lot of people don't know it is, especially back in the time when me and her was in the foster care system. I think it's gotten a little worse since then, but it wasn't really hunky-dory back then either. And we were used as servants, and I'm going to say servants because that's how you paid off your debt to the person that was taking care of you.
Laborers.
But these are stories that haven't really, these are stories that really haven't been brought out, to the public yet. There hasn't been a lot of people that have come together to talk about all of this stuff. But this, because of the way we're learning about being in our command post and loving ourselves, eventually there's going to be enough people that come out and that are going to share these experiences that's going to help bring about bukus of change that we need in the world, so that we can bring in self-love to ourselves. I mean, we're all learning about self-love right now. And like I said, I think we'll do that until the day we die. But I do know that I won't, and I know Redbird won't. I can't say it for anybody else. Well, maybe Simon, but we're not going to let. We see those red flags in every experience that you have. If you've learned from it, you'll see your red flag and you'll go, okay, let me look at this before I go forward. And that's what they're there for, is, stop, look, and listen. Now, if you're stop, look, and listen, don't be looking out here and listening outside of yourself. Go in here and stop and look and listen and see what your body's telling you, see what your heart is telling you, see what your mind is telling you. And it's going to guide you in the right direction. Well, it has been a wonderful class.
It has.
And
Thank you, everyone.
we have enjoyed you so much, Susan. It's been just awesome. And Simon, thank you for coming out. And we're going to let Rodney take us out with the prayer. And Leo's next week. Oh, he's showing y'all a picture of Grandma Aggie. And like he said, she was tattooed. Her tribe tattoos their face. So if you see those markings on her chin and stuff, those are her tattoos. And each one has a different set of tattoos that they wear on their face, which actually tells in their nation where I don't want to say statue is, because that's not the right word, but what section they work through to help others. Thank you, Simon.
You're welcome.
Oh, there he is. There she is sitting. Simon has a lot of pictures, so we have to call him back up, because see, then he can show these pictures and Rodney can put them on the screen where we can see them, especially about
Thank you.
especially about the salmon, because that story is a wonderful story that you tell, Simon. So we'll get you back on here.
Okay.
Rodney, would you like to say the closing prayer? And we'll see everybody next week. I hope y'all have a beautiful week.
Yeah. And thank you, Susan. Many blessings.
All right. Thank you, Shahwin. Thank you, Susan, Simon. Father Sky, Mother Earth, all our ancestors, all our relatives, we call upon you at this time and we thank you. We thank you so very much for the sacred circle you've allowed us to be part of. We thank you for the words that Susan shared with us, and she shared her life, and she brought love and joy to our hearts with her story. And we thank you for helping her be that survivor that's made her such the beautiful soul that she is, for glowing the way she does, for shining her light upon us. And we are grateful and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for her time. We ask Most High, Most Divine, that you watch over each of us throughout this week. Ask that you watch over Leo as he climbs around and fixes up Meditenite 2. Ask that you watch over Elizabeth and bring solace to her heart and comfort to her soul in the time of her friend's transition. Ask you watch over each of us throughout this week, protect each of us. I know I have a busy week. Watch over me and help me to succeed well in this homeless count that I'm doing on Friday. Please bless us, watch over us, protect us, and guide us in a way that is pleasing in your sight. We love you and we thank you. Aho.
Aho. Love each and every one of y'all. We will see you next week.
See you next week. Love you. Bye-bye.